So what will you do when the party's over? So what will you do when the party's over?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to Third Man in the Ring. This is a special today to honor our veterans. It's being dropped here on Memorial Day. And you know what, guys? Whether we agree with our government or not, that's besides the point. The point is we live in an awesome country, United States of America. And today we're going to be talking to a war veteran, a fellow believer. And you know what? We're honoring our veterans today on Memorial Day. And I just want you to give a warm welcome to my friend, your friend, Ralph. I'm not going to butcher his last name, but he'll say his last name, but he's a war veteran, he's a believer. He has a boxing glove that he promotes and it's approved by the state. So let's give a warm welcome to my friend, your friend, Ralph.
Hey.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man.
Thank you for coming on, brother. And this was on short notice, guys. But how you doing today, man? How does Saturday turn out for you so far?
It's gonna be good, man. You know, Memorial Day is one of those times where you're like, yeah, I want to barbecue, man. Maybe have a couple of drinks or something like that, but you have a tendency to get that heartfelt feeling like, man, I'm missing something, you know. And it's been a lot, man. You know, just everything that I've been through and my own struggles, you know, trying to be a father and husband. Damn, that's enough in itself.
Yep, you ain't lying.
Right? And then being a war dog, that's a completely different story. And there's such a small number of us in the U.S. that have actually been to combat. It's significantly small. Blow your mind. Don't quote me on it just yet, but I've been doing some stats, and it's literally less than 0.765% of the U.S. population.
Wow.
I've seen combat.
Wow. So
these numbers, they're gonna fluctuate right now, but it's crazy because we're not like anybody else, Papa Ray. We are a different breed.
Yeah.
We walk different, we think different, and you got to remember these guys, the male brain, it does not stop developing till they're 25 years old. How old are our combat vets going in and seeing combat?
My son Ray Jr. went to the first Iraqi war. He was 18, bro. 18. I was so afraid. But you know, Ralph, before we get into that, you know, I see you don't want to make it about Ralph, but I need you to make it about Ralph. I need you to tell the fans where you grew up, how you grew up before you got into this ugly world of combat, you know?
Oh yeah, okay, for sure. So I grew up in Pico, Rivera. Pico Rivera. Raised by my mom. My dad he was a Vietnam vet, Marine Corps, recon Marine. Shot 5 times, but unfortunately, man, you know, he was medicating his pain through heroin addiction, through cocaine. But surprisingly, I get to see my dad on the weekends. Maybe like, it'd be intermittent, man. It'd be like once every 6 months or whatnot. But my dad lived in Boyle Heights, and he actually lived down the street from Resurrection Boxing Gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Right there off of Lorena
That explains
Street.
your love for boxing, right?
That's where it came from, because even though my dad wasn't around when he was, I'll never forget, I think I was about 5 years old, and my dad took me, there was double doors, I remember them being brown, and he takes me through the double doors at Resurrection Boxing Gym, and I just see a bunch of dudes just hitting the bags, hitting, and I was like, I mean, just everything, like, it just connected to me so well, and my dad was a fighter, you know, he fought in and out of the streets. He went to prison, did all that stuff.
Yeah, that was the era back then, right?
Right. It's just a crazy experience. But growing up in Pico, I was a geek, bro, because my mom, she raised me to be the man of the house, right? I had my sister was a couple years older than me, and the one thing I wanted to pull on, because I didn't have my dad around the whole time, was my dad was a musician.
Oh, okay.
I know he played for Sly Slick and the Wicked with Sunny Day. And I got to meet that guy back in the day. It was crazy. But he's like, hey, I don't want you playing guitar. He's like, you got to carry the amp. It's just too much. He's like, it's too heavy. He's like, let's get you a trumpet.
Oh,
and
okay.
so that was one of the things I was like, I'm gonna pull on that. So I started playing trumpet, man, and it was like my getaway. So I didn't realize when you have the loss of the absence of a father as a boy, híjole, that right there, that to me, I would just tuck it away. I would tuck it away because my pops, man, like, I know.
So is it fair to say you didn't have ill feelings towards him, that he wasn't around?
Oh no, like I was so forgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Like anytime he'd say, hey son, I'm gonna pick you up, I'm excited because my mom was she's the disciplinarian, right? Yeah. But my dad, when I would be so excited, I'll never forget, man. He called me and he said, hey son, we're going to go to a Raider football game. And I just got in
what game?
Raiders.
Oh my God.
The Raiders. I know, I'm sorry.
So he wasn't a perfect father, right?
Not at all.
I'm joking.
Not at all. Why are we going there? No.
Where's the Rams at, eh? But yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be happy to know that he didn't show up.
There you go.
Yeah, but oh man, just learning to emulate. Like I needed a dad.
Yeah.
And my mom was a hairdresser. I mean, super feminine, but she worked her ass off, man. She was on welfare. She tried to do everything she could for my sister and I. We'd be moving back and forth from my grandma's to an apartment, and she struggled. But I learned something very, very special from her. I learned my work ethic.
There you go.
Regardless if she was sick or not.
She went to work, right?
She went to work. And man, every time she'd come home, she'd be like, why aren't the dishes washed? And I'm like, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But I had to learn. Thank God I had my grandpa Oscar Ramirez. He lived in Pico, Rivera, and he's actually an Army veteran as well.
So you grew up knowing the military was always somewhere in the grandpa, dad, all that.
Yeah, my great-grandfather, I knew everybody was military. They were either military or cops. And
is it fair to say, Ralph, that growing up, you didn't know what your dad was going through at the time, the demons from Vietnam, you know what I mean?
No.
You didn't figure it out, or?
No, when we'd hang out, I'd be at the VFW. That was the place where we'd go, he would drink or whatever.
Veterans of Foreign Wars, guys.
Yeah, Veterans of Foreign Wars. It's a place for guys to just hang out. And
brotherhood, no?
It is a brotherhood. But reflecting back on that, what we'll get to later, there's so much more that's needed, right?
Yeah.
But my pops was, he's an amazing dad. Like, I had to take the nuggets, right? And then everything else I got from YouTube. Right?
There you go.
So going in job interviews, I'm watching, a Windsor. How do you do a Windsor tie, right? Man, just the things that, like how to shake a hand, how to...
And props to Ralph. I come here to do it, and his boys with the utmost, true little gentlemen. These are little guys. Shook my hand and firm. I noticed that right away, bro. I know your daughter came down very respectful. And that takes a lot nowadays, you know what I mean? And that the old school way like that is good. Because believe me, I won't say no names. I go to some places, do interviews, and no respect, bro. No respect to introduce. And to me, whether you agree or not, whether it be our culture and military mix, that's what it is, bro. At least that's the way I see it,
I agree. Like my grandfather would tell me, say, Mio, when you leave the house, your hair better be brushed. Right. You better brush your teeth. You better make sure your clothes are presentable.
Yes.
I can't go to the store and see people in pajamas. Bro, that's just my own thing, man. It does. I'm like, no. My kids are like, why you gotta brush your hair? Look. I said, no. You represent our family. and we dress. We dress. We want to look presentable because
Amen.
if we have something we're gonna need to accomplish, I was like, people, that's what they see.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, that's one of those things. But
Well, going back real quick to growing up in Pico, I personally know growing up in the gang activity, there was a lot of varios out there, right? I mean,
Yes.
you didn't fall in,
Yes.
you never tempted to fall into the
Ooh.
gang stuff, bro?
oh man, I got my ass kicked a few times, not from the gang, but my mother.
Yeah, and that was worse than getting
Oh
from
man,
gangs, yeah.
You ever been hit with a metal spatula?
Wood.
Okay, it was bad, man.
Yeah, I can imagine. And back in our days, you could get whooped and nobody give it a second thought. You know
No.
what I mean? Now it's like, don't hit me, I'll call it whatever, but that's another. But yeah, so,
I needed that though.
yes.
So growing up in Pico, I learned a lot about the gangs that were around the area, and one of them was Pico Viejo.
Yes.
And I'll never forget, man. I'm gonna say that a lot. Sorry, but I told you I was playing trumpet, right?
Yeah.
Man, I felt like I was in the movie Boys in the Hood when that kid took the football, because I'm walking with my trumpet, man, and the gang is right there. It's either I'm gonna step around them or go through them, right? And I was like, man, I'd rather get hit by a car. So I went around them, right?
Yeah.
And they go, hey, what do you got there, little homie? I was like, my trumpet. And I was like this chunky little short chubby kid, right? Just kind, dude. I was always kind. My mom would call me the peacemaker.
That's right.
And they're like, hey, let me see it, eh? And they freaking, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get my ass whooped. My mom's gonna kill me. Cause we rented it from the
you
pawn
rented it
shop,
back then,
you know? And they're like, oh man, what is that? And I was like, it's just a trumpet. And then one of the older gangsters said, man, give him his shit back. And I was like, thank you. But little stuff like that, bro. But I didn't have that anger.
Yeah.
I didn't know pretty much where that, I didn't have a bad temper.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why is probably my mom, maybe, you know, but she was a prayer warrior, man.
Amen.
She would just like, she'd be praying over me and I'd be like, Mom, she'd be like, in the name of Jesus, you will have a long life. So that's what she would always tell me. And I'd say, yes, Mom, yes, Mom. But anyhow, growing up in Pico, my mom's like, you're starting to wear solos, right?
Yeah.
We'd go to the Santa Fe Spring swap meet and I'd be like getting the 5 for 10 shirts and the socks. Man, I thought I got good deals. And man, it was cool though, going to Santa Fe Spring swap meet, listening to Malo, all these different sangria.
Sangria.
Yeah.
I knew the lead singer.
Did you really?
Yeah. I knew the lead singer.
That's the music that gives me so much like peace inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started wearing the solos, and then I started, when the solos weren't baggy enough, I started cutting the sides, like the sides, like and then I wanted my first Nike Cortezes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit after my time, but
Well, yeah, right. But my dad was from that old school too, so his pants were creased. He'd wear the Pendletons, like he'd always have his mustache like that.
So
I don't judge it.
Is Dad still alive to this day?
No, so Dad succumbed to bone cancer.
Wow.
From Agent Orange herbicide from Vietnam. So for those that don't know what Agent Orange is,
And you know, I thank you for addressing that because a lot of people don't know, and I've seen it on movies. But please inform them what that is.
so it's like freaking root killer. And what I mean by root killer is, if you ever look in the jungles of Vietnam and see all of the brush, the trees, the planes would fly over the military guys and they'd spray this herbicide and literally immediately would kill everything, like demolish all of their, all the brush, all the trees to the ground. Stuff would like disintegrate, but they were spraying it on their guys. That root killer, right? Getting onto these young men that were.
So you're telling me United States would spray that, or the Vietnam would spray?
No, it was the U.S. because they wanted to see where the enemy was.
Wow, and I never knew that, Ralph.
Yeah.
I always thought that was the enemy doing it to us.
No.
But they didn't realize what they were doing, though, obviously, right?
Yeah, and that chemical literally has killed hundreds of thousands of Vietnam veterans. And these guys are getting heart disease, rashes all over their bodies, like crazy side effects from this product. Yeah, it's a tough thing. But yeah, Dad passed away. But man, that relationship, it grew with time, because right when I was around 10 or 11, my dad bounced. I don't know where he went. Come to find out, he did some more jail time.
Oh, okay.
Right? He had a passion for guitar, always playing with different bands, and that was his dream, to play with all these big groups.
Who, real quick, did he play with?
He played with Sunny Day, Sly Slick and the Wicked, Confessin' a Fillin'. Right?
There you go, guys.
If you want to know where Sunny Day, no. So he played with him. I know he played with Sangria, but they called him Sugar Bear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was his name. I couldn't stand calling him Sugar Bear. I was like, your dad. And he's like, hey, I'm Sugar Bear. I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyways, the two things that he loved was guitar playing and honoring our veterans. We'd go to memorials.
So is it fair to say, Ralph, he wasn't bitter towards the military?
Oh, no.
Because I'm a lot older than you, bro, because when I was growing up, the Vietnam War just ended, and they were getting a lot of hate, bro. People were calling them baby killers, and I never understood why until I got older. But man, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
I'm thinking, you know, before I got into older age where I start respecting the military, I go, why would they do that? You know, why? Until I understood what they had to do to survive in Vietnam, you know?
Yeah, that part of that part of war is something else. But my dad came back. He was always like, he was very quiet when it came to, I'd ask him, Dad, tell me about Vietnam. You know, the one question you never ask a combat vet is, did you kill anybody?
Yeah.
And as a young kid, I'm like, Dad, how many people did you kill? But my dad told me some really interesting stories about like snatch and grab type of stuff, where they'd go inside the VC's camp, take out guys without anybody knowing. My dad was shot 5 times. It was a 360-degree ambush. And I've seen the pictures from the hospital. He's got a Zorro stitch across his whole stomach. But he didn't really talk too much about it, but he never wanted me to join the military.
Wow.
Yeah.
He actually told you that?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said,
I'm wondering now, or maybe you have the answer. Was he afraid for you, or he just felt that we weren't respected as a military? Maybe a little both, maybe?
I think it was probably both. My dad came from old school, where his dad was, the way my father was disciplined was getting a shovel hit over his head, you know, like crazy stuff like that. No nurturing, no love, nothing like that. And my dad kind of like, he did the opposite. He said, it's better to not hit my son, and if I'm pissed, I'm absent. It's better than to hurt him.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that the absence hurt me even more, you know?
Yeah.
But man, I learned so much, good and bad, you know, like I had to pick, like, so when my dad would go pick me up, I would literally get some eggs from my mom's house, her working money, because I knew I wasn't going to have food at my dad's. My dad had the kitchen sink and dishes everywhere. It was he always had small studios. You know, he just take care of himself, right? I remember being there when I'm finding mirrors of cocaine with the razor blade. I was like freaking younger than probably Zaki's age, my 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm like playing with cocaine.
So he struggled with drug issues too.
Oh yeah. And I would tell people, I said,
And excuse me, but a lot of it I hear, I don't know, but you tell me that's how the vets dealt with their what's that called?
PTSD.
PTSD. That's how they did it. They covered it with drugs, alcohol, women, just fighting. You know what I mean?
The thing is, right? Is drugs. It's not the person. It's not their heart. People are good people. But what happens is when they can't figure out what is going on in here, the quickest solution is to get a drug that will tell your body, hey, it's okay, you're okay. And
Fair to say, yeah.
all they want is to feel better. And I had to learn that. I was like, man, why was my dad...
And you mean feel better up here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
in here, like, even if it was for 2 minutes, an hour, whatever,
Yeah.
but so many people, that addiction basically reconfigures the brain where, you know, like when you go and you just freaking, you spend a few rounds sparring and like you need water, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all I'm thinking about, I need water. Well, instead of water, all the time, these drug addicts are wanting the drug because their brain is like, you need that more than water. So
To cope through the day, fair to say?
right, to cope through the day. And it's easy. And I've been caught up in that with alcohol. Man, I drank so much just
Before or after military?
after the military.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you learn in the military to drink. Like that's part of what we do, you know? And man, I had some good times. But
Yes.
you know, when you're raising a family and you're trying to build a foundation for this family, being drunk is not helping. And that really took a lot of internal strength.
So let me ask you this, Ralph. Growing up in that atmosphere with Dad, seeing the cocaine and, you know, the music, did military ever come into your mind? Did you ever say, you know what, even though he didn't want you to join the military, did you ever say, you know what, I'm going to do it?
Hell no.
You just didn't
Hell
cross
no.
your mind, huh?
Man, so one thing about me is I was always afraid. And I don't know where
Afraid of what?
Exactly, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I was afraid. Like I almost had like anxiety as a kid because I had to be a big boy for my mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't fail. Like I cannot fail. And I still carry that to this day. That's why a lot of successful...
I mean, is it fair to say it's good and bad?
Oh,
Having that mentality is good and bad. We all want our children to prosper and do the right thing. But if we push them to the point, if you fail, then they think, oh, I'm no good or I'm unworthy. Then I'm thinking we went too far, you know?
Well, my mom would tell me, she said, son, I don't know where you got that. She's like, you're like 6 years old and you're doing an eye exam and the lady tells you he didn't pass. And I guess I went and cried to my mom. I'm sorry, Mom. Sorry I let you down. She's like, oh my God, like relax.
Oh, chill out. Huh?
And I was that kid, so extremely hard on myself, but always scared of failing. And that's what prevented a lot of things that I should have done better and a lot of things that I didn't do, which was good too.
Yeah.
So yeah, military, no.
So you go through school, elementary. How was your high school days?
Okay,
What
so
school did you go to?
So I went to North Park in Pico, Rivera, and I was a part of their North Park marching band. All right, that was my getaway, right?
Yeah. Trumpet player, right?
Trumpet player. Thank God I got back into boxing during that time, because the gangsters, man.
Yeah.
They were starting to like, you know, just what do you call it? Like, I just needed to take care of myself. And
we went to the same gym, right?
Yes.
Growing up, I'm way before him, but Ben Lira.
Ben Lira was the first man that actually taught me the fundamentals of boxing.
That's right.
And my mom couldn't afford it. She couldn't afford it. And I begged her, please, please. Because when you're a nice guy, like I was, I keep everything internal. I'm angry inside. But when I started boxing, it was that release.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, it's beautiful, man. And I loved it. wrapping my hands, like the smell of the gym, the whole thing, man. And it was something that I liked. But after North Park, I moved to Hacienda Heights.
Okay.
And that was, I don't know, late 90s. And I started going to play trumpet there too. And I excelled. Like, I was getting into jazz. I was actually going to want to be a professional trumpet player, getting auditions at Florida International University of Music, like all crazy stuff, right? Trumpet playing was never, ever, military was never part of the plan. Always friendly, always loving people throughout high school. But I was a talker. And what I mean by a talker, I like to talk about what I'm gonna do, and I never followed through. And I didn't know that was a bad thing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna play trumpet, or I'm gonna do this, and I never followed through. I didn't know what consistency was. And those are some of the things, man, I wish I would have known, but thank God, God put father figures around me throughout my childhood. My cousin Eddie, freaking LAPD detective, my buddy.
Positive role models. Then,
he
right?
was. And I loved it, man. Like, I'd hear the stories about all the stuff going on.
Yeah.
And yes, I had my other side of the family that was the gangsters, and I love them too. Like,
Well, I always think it's best. I mean, real quick, I have 5 sons, and unfortunately, I grew up in the camp, youth authority prison. I always told them the bad side of things, and I always pushed them to the good side of things. And my son Raymond Jr., the LAPD, 17 years, war veteran, and all my 4 other sons are doing well, and my 2 daughters are doing well. But yeah, the both sides of the street, and and then you got to decide, obviously.
I did. I saw my dad's side. 8 years old, saw my first guy get murdered right in front of me in Amani. I saw my mom's side. She had food in her fridge. Which one do you want, right?
Yeah.
Thank God that during my childhood, my mom, she never had any money. Like, I couldn't get that extra stuff. I couldn't go get the figurines. You remember WWF?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know how my cousin got the WWF where they're all moving around. My guy was like this, didn't look like Hulk Hogan though. And he just stood there like this. And I'd be like, what the heck, man? I'm getting all the crappy stuff, but I was grateful. I was grateful. I get through high school, and I was like, well, let me try college, right? And mind you, I never tried. I was never smart. Not that I didn't try, I was never smart. And I really, I hated school. And I'd use the excuse, I'm just a Mexican guy, my dad's a guitar player, we're good, I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
But it was those people in my life, my buddy's dad, Mr. Rodriguez. This is where the handshake came into play. My buddy Frankie, I was 15 years old. His father was an Army Ranger. And big old mustache, a cigar in his mouth. And I meet Mr. Rodriguez, I'm 15. And I was like, hey, Frank. Walk in his house, hey, Frank. And he's like, whoa. Who are you? I was like, oh, I'm Ralphie. And he's like, takes the cigar out of his mouth. He's like, young man, come here. And my buddy Frank, he's like, Dad, come on. And he's like, where's your dad? I was like, I don't know. And he's like, son, when you walk into a man's house,
shake his hand.
He's like, you shake his hand and you call him by Mr.
Yes, sir.
So Mr. Rodriguez or Mr. Frank. He's like, do you understand? And I started getting teary-eyed. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to, I just pissed this guy off. And he's like, he saw the genuineness. He's like, no, mijo, I'm teaching you how to be a better man.
Exactly.
And so every day for the next 10, 15 years, man, hey, Mr. Rodriguez, how you doing, sir? He's like, good, and give me a big hug and a kiss on the cheek. He's like, how are you? I'm good.
And little things like that, you remember, yeah, exactly.
It meant the world to me.
Yeah.
There was a dude that I was gonna get in a fight with in my high school because he keyed my truck because I took his girl. And
do it. You probably had
it wasn't my
man, eh?
fault. It wasn't my fault.
And hopefully you were a stud, right?
Hey,
Not my fault.
hey, forget about it. No, and I was pissed, man. And I was gonna jack this kid up. And mind you, I'm not even a fighter. I know how to fight, but I'm not gonna fight anybody. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I go to Mr. Rod and I'm like, hey, Mr. Rod, this is what happened. He says, all right, this is what you're gonna do. You're not gonna touch him. He's like, you know where he lives? I was like, yes. He's like, you're gonna go to his house and you're gonna go ask for his father. Because he knew he had a dad, and I said, okay. He's like, you're gonna say, bring his father outside, say, sir, can I speak to you outside, please? And then he's like, when you do that, you're gonna say, I have multiple witnesses that saw your son key my truck, and this is gonna cost $500 in damages. And I went to this dude's freaking house. He looked like scared out of his mind. And I said, can I speak to your dad, please? And his dad comes out, literally hands me $500 bills. He said, I'm sorry he did that. He's like, get inside, tells his son. I was like, dang.
Yeah.
The kid didn't even look at me after that, man. But it saved me from
trouble, yeah.
From trouble, man. And thank God that's kind of where that happened, where that went. But
So you're going through this up and down of where you want to do with your life. Where did the Marine Corps come in? Tell us how that started.
So September 11th happens.
September 11th. Okay.
Yeah, Twin Towers gets hit. And the first...
Wow, let me interrupt. I didn't know that, bro, because that's the same time my son Raymond was in boot camp when that happened.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that was...
And tell me if I'm wrong, Ralphie. After September 11th, was there a rise in people joining the military? So obviously we love our country. There is love out there for our country, right?
Yeah.
But go ahead, man. So September 11th happens. How did you feel about that?
So first feeling was fear.
Yeah, and me too.
I was scared, and I didn't like that feeling of being helpless. Because when you feel helpless, it's like you're locked and confined. You can't do anything. And there was something in my brain, man, where I was like, I think I could do it. No, I can't do it. I didn't want to try out for the football team. Los Altos High School had one of the baddest freaking football teams. I probably would have got jacked up anyways, but I did play my trumpet on the games.
There you go.
But I was so scared to do any of that stuff, and I kept contemplating back and forth, man. And I was like, man, what if I can't even pass the test? So I was thinking these things, and one day I'm taking a college course because my other idea was I'm going to be a journalist. I'm going to be a news reporter because that's what I used to mess around with my family. I'd pretend like I was a news reporter. Hey, this is Ralph Sarabia reporting live from blah, blah, blah. And my mom was always affirming, son, you could do anything, right? But I knew I didn't realize it required work and brains. And so I thought I failed the midterm. As a 18-year-old kid at the time, or 18, I was like impulsive. I was very impulsive. Like I didn't think about it. I just would do something, right? Yeah. Well, this chick at the high school, or I was at Mount Sac. She shows me a picture of her brother who's dressed in his dress blues. I didn't think of my father. I didn't think about anybody. I was like, that's it. I said, I'm not going to make it as a freaking journalist, trumpet player. I was like, I'm not even going to pass this class. I was like, I don't want to end up like my dad. I went to the recruiter in, Walnut, and I said, sign me up.
Marine Corps?
Yeah, I said, sign me up Marine Corps. They said, well, let's see how you do on the ASVAB. Let's just say, man, I was not the smartest kid. I passed the ASVAB, the pre-ASVAB, before you go to MEPS and all that. And they were like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want infantry. Because I thought it sounded cool, right? I didn't know the cost.
Yeah, they're deep in it, no?
Deep in it. And so I freaking went to MEPS, and I'm telling everybody, yeah, I'm being Marines, infantry. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. I like how it sounds, but I didn't realize everything that was going to go along with it. go to MEPS, and I take the test. The recruiter goes, "What the hell happened?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You didn't even pass." I was like, "No." I was like, "Oops." And he's like, "Man, we got to take it again." And I was like, I was embarrassed. And I was like, "Well, this is the first time I'm going to have to study for something." So I'm studying, and even studying, I wasn't a smart kid. I barely passed. I got like a 34. Right?
What's a passing score?
I think it was like 32, 33, whatever.
Fast, bro.
I didn't get a waiver. I actually got in on my own. And I get in, and they're like, "All right, well, you're going to leave in like February, March time frame." Right? This is 2000.
And is it fair to say, Ralph, you kind of knew you were going to war because of September 11th?
Man,
Did it enter your mind?
it did.
But
And I thought
it still sounded cool, infantry.
It sounded cool, man. I was physically, I physically was fit. I actually went up to like 280 pounds when I was in high school. I would medicate my heart with food, and then this chick ended up telling me I was too chubby for her. So I dropped 100 pounds, man. I started getting back into crazy shape. But I didn't really know what it was going to mean. And then they said, "Hey, you're leaving January. You're going to leave a day after your 19th birthday." I said, "Let's go." So we freaking get picked up at MEPS. They drive us to San Diego, Camp Pendleton, or we go to I think it was Sizzler. We had our last meal. I think we had like lobster or something. I can't remember, man. My memory's so jacked up, but we get there, and I'm excited, man. I'm like, man, I'm really doing it. I'm really doing it. I'm like really gonna do something with my life. And as soon as we leave there, we go straight to MCRD, Marine Corps Recruit Depot. We pull up to the gates. It's already dark, and I'm like, this is gonna be crazy. And we get in through the gates, man, and I see the yellow footprints, the famous yellow footprints, and they open the door, and my whole life after that, oh my God.
Is it like the movie, the guy comes in yelling?
Oh man, drill instructor comes in, "The first words out of your mouth and the last words out of your mouth, yes sir, do you understand me?" "Yes sir." And I'm like, oh yeah, right. And I had that quiet rebelliousness in me.
Yeah.
Like, forget these fools, man.
Let this fool talk to me.
Yeah, that's in me still, right? And I was like, psh. Anyways, they said, "Get off my bus." So we get off the bus, get on the footprints, we go through these doors, and my buddy's a drill instructor, and he's like, "This is where the indoctrination happens." They literally, you take everything out of your pockets. They're screaming in every ear, and I'm like, my mom yells louder than this, it's fine. And you go make the phone call. Now this is where it gets crazy. Now they're gonna take away your identity. And I was not ready for that. When they shave your head, immediately I start getting cold. Like, I'm like, well, that's weird. And then they strip you naked in another room with a bunch of guys, and now you're gonna go put on their stuff. So from the underwear to the socks, everything, the smells are completely different. And now it's been like 8 hours, 10 hours. I'm tired, man. I want to go to sleep. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
What did I sign up for, huh?
Yeah, but that was like a Wednesday, and Friday is Black Friday. And Friday is the day you will meet your drill instructors. So we end up running like half a mile to our barracks where we're gonna meet the drill instructors. I got this big ass sea bag. I'm the littlest guy in my platoon. Always been the littlest guy in my platoon.
Yeah.
And I'm carrying this bag that's as big as me. Somebody could put me in there. That's how big it was. And I can barely carry it, man. I'm like, oh my God. So we get in there, and after that, man, I just got my ass whooped. Like, you're little, we're gonna make you strong.
That's right.
And I had a tough time, man. I had a tough time. I was always scared that I was gonna fall out of a run, fall out of a march, and because of that, that's what kept me going.
The fear of failure, right?
Fear of failure. That thing is so serious, bro. Like, and that's what I love about boxing. is I would rather die than quit. I can't take a knee.
Yeah.
You know? So we get in there, we're doing these freaking 6-mile runs. I was doing like 2 or 3 at my own pace. Now these guys are freaking running 3 miles an hour or whatever, and crazy runs, all these things. Thank God that I did well. The one thing I never told the Marine Corps is I had asthma as a kid.
Wow. They wouldn't have let you in, no?
They wouldn't have let me in.
Yeah, they wouldn't have let you
All right,
in.
integrity violator 101 right here. And they actually, when you go into boot camp, they go, I swear, is there anybody right now that has asthma? And I'm over there like,
Yeah.
and so I didn't say nothing. Well, we're about a month and a half in, and I get sick with bronchitis. And bronchitis and asthma, my lungs are closing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Because we're running, and I'm like breathing through a straw, like just a little bit of air. And I'm getting really like, man, stressed. And I feel like this is a part of what I feel like with God and my relationship with God is it's never the easy stuff, man. He's like, I'm gonna show you how strong you are with me, but I'm gonna crack your legs in the meantime while you go on this marathon. That's how I felt, right?
Can't practice faith through easy times. Huh?
Oh man, that's not fair, but yeah, that's what happened,
exactly,
right?
bro.
And I literally was like praying, God, like get me through this. I cannot afford to fail this. I can't. Well, the drill instructors I go to, like they call like BAS, it's their medical area, and they're like, yeah, you got bronchitis. And they didn't know the difference, man, like if there was asthma or bronchitis. And they're like, all right, you just got to take it easy, right? Like I don't think they gave me any medicine or anything like that. So I went back to the barracks.
Suck it up, buttercup type
Oh
of thing?
yeah, oh yeah. And I ended up getting back to the barracks, and the drill instructors, Sergeant Mata, this Mexican short guy, he'd look at me and go, good, Sarabia, good. He's like, does your mommy know you're here? I'm like, yes. You know, like, they would give me so much crap, man. But one thing, I never stopped. I couldn't. I would go in the middle of the night, I'd get the mist from the sink, just to breathe that in, just to try to breathe. Thank God. I don't know what happened, man, but I got over that. I freaking finished boot camp, man, and I hated every minute of it, because when you're tired, you just want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I did that. I go to School of Infantry, and I swear, man, my mom had to drive me. After you go to boot camp, you freaking get like 2 weeks off to go home. That was the worst thing they could have done for me, because I was in my bed like, man, I miss this place, right? And I ended up I got orders to School of Infantry, where I'm going to learn infantry tactics in Camp Pendleton. I don't think I've ever shared this with anybody, but my mom drove me. And I swear, when I walked through, we drove through the gates of Camp Pendleton with the MPs doing all that stuff, and I was so scared. I never felt so little and helpless in my entire life. I was a little boy that just wanted to stay with his mom. And we pull up to School of Infantry, and my mom had to be hard sometimes, man, but she loved the heck out of me. And I was like, Mom, I got my uniform on, and I was like, I don't want to go. And tears are coming down my face. And she's in the front seat, I'm in the back seat. I think my sister was with us. And I said, I don't want to go. And she freaking looked back at me. She said, no son of mine is going to quit. Get your ass out of my car. And I was like, I freaking got up, man. And I had to. It was the hardest thing for me. Like,
well, is it fair to say fear of the unknown? Is that what it is?
Fear of the unknown. Like, you don't realize.
Let me interrupt real quick,
Yeah.
bro. Was the war, had it started yet?
It's about to start.
So you knew what infantry was by now. You knew
Yeah.
if the war kicks off,
Oh,
I'm going to be deep in it, huh?
They were training us for war. And thank God they were training us for war. Like, they didn't let up, man.
And obviously that's why you were at Pendleton, because of the desert, somewhat desert atmosphere, right?
Yeah, that and California guys, they usually go to Pendleton. Then you got, where's the other place?
But I mean, I'm just guessing here. I'm from movies. Back in the day, they used to train us for Russia weather, right? Cold. And
Oh,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And now it was being desert mentality, right?
Yeah, we did. We trained up in 29 Palms. We did a lot of training up there. But at School of Infantry, they actually give you your job. So I was a 03 option. So 0311 infantry, 0331 machine gunner, 0352 tow gunner. So my first freaking job, I was actually a tow gunner. And what that is, that's an anti-tank missile that shoots tanks. And everybody wanted that job because you're in Humvees. You're not freaking humping everywhere. Little did I know I wasn't gonna be a freaking anti-tank assaultman. I became literally a machine gunner, and that's talking about my experiences overseas. But yeah, we go do that. I go meet my actual unit that I'm gonna go to war with, and it was 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines. And I'm like, okay, who are these guys? Right? I don't know anything about the Marine Corps. And they're like, this is the most decorated battalion in the Marine Corps. These guys are the first to go. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Right? Yeah. And I didn't feel like badass. I was freaking scared. Like,
yeah.
You know? So I go there, and first day meeting my freaking sergeant, he's like, damn, you're short, dude. How'd you pass boot camp? I was like, grit and resilience, Sergeant. And he's like, good to go. He's like, all right, we're going on a run. Literally, we get there, we go on like a 6-7 mile run down to the beach and back. I'm like,
can't even walk 6-7 miles, Holmes. Man, let alone run.
I couldn't either. I'm the little guy that's taking 4 steps for the one tall guy.
I'm just gonna say, man.
But I learned, like, you got to stop feeling sorry for yourself, Ralphie. I had to really talk to myself, like, you got to suck it the hell up. I had to be my biggest cheerleader. Yeah. And I wish I had, Dad, like, oh man, he messed me up though in boot camp though. My dad wrote a letter to the freaking drill instructor and said, he literally did. He said, break my son, get him ready for war. Damn, I was so pissed, but they broke me. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Hi everyone, Andy Sarukian here, co-founding partner of Remedy Law Group. We represent employees in all types of employment cases, whether it's wrongful termination, discrimination, harassment, retaliation, failure to pay wages, provide meal or rest breaks, misclassification. Website is www.remedylawgroup.com. Give us a call. My number is 818-422-5941. Happy to answer any questions you may have. Free consultation about any potential case. Look forward to hearing from you.
Hey guys, Sonora Tires, 17977 Valley Boulevard in Bloomington, California. They do tires, mufflers, brakes, alignments, air conditioning. I've known Armando for almost 12 years. Him and his son do great business there, reasonable prices. So check them out, Sonora Tires. Tell them Popeye Ray sent you. So with that said, Ralph, let's jump to the ugliness you get. When did you know you guys were going to go to war?
So we were probably training.
Do they just say, hey bro, you guys are going tomorrow, or how does it work?
So they told us we have a 24-hour leave to get your affairs in order.
That's how they tell you?
Yeah. Yeah. And mind you,
bro, that in itself, we're like, well, what do you mean get my affairs in order?
We were hearing about it though, like they were saying, hey, get ready guys, we're going to be pushing to Iraq. And I take things with a grain of salt, man. Being as young as I was what, if it happens, it happens, right?
Yeah.
And you got 24 hours. I go tell my mom, I drive from Pendleton to where my mom was working. And I remember walking in the doors and just saying, hey mom, we're getting orders to go. She's bawling, man.
The war has already started by now, right?
It's not started.
Oh, it hasn't started.
No, we're gonna literally be the first to freaking go into Iraq. And so I tell her, we fly into to Kuwaiti airport, And that's when I knew stuff just got real, because nobody's shooting at us, but we get into Kuwaiti airport, and that was the first time I was ever on a plane. I was like, this is awesome. Wait, no, it's not. Right?
Not this plane, right? You know what I mean?
They open the cabin doors or say, welcome to Kuwait or whatever. I'd never felt heat at that level.
Yeah, I heard, man.
They opened that door, and all of a sudden, man, I felt like I put my whole body into the oven real quick. And I was like,
120 easy, huh?
oh man, it was so bad. And you know, we have flax on, we have all our gear. I'm like, so I was just trying to climatize, and they gave us, I think, like 2 weeks to climatize. Then we end up spending about 56 days in the middle of the Kuwaiti desert in a fighting hole, missing home, but it sucked. And I'll never forget, everybody's complaining because Marines, we're a bunch of babies, like we'll be killers, but
I was just gonna say baby killers. Eh?
baby, yeah. And we,
I don't mean it in that
Yes,
sense. I meant chillons, but let me loose.
Yeah,
It's on.
right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And my gunny's like, we're gonna be here for months, gents, months and months and months. Get over it. I was like, oh man. 56 days happens. They finally take us to, it's our first place where we're gonna start picking up our actual ammo. So we're getting all this ammo, we're throwing it on the trucks.
So you know you're going to war.
Yeah.
When you're picking up live ammo, you know it's gonna be on, right?
I thought we were just training. I was that guy, I'm telling you.
Hey, I thought we were playing around, man.
They were always saying, "Hi, Ralphie, man." I'm like,
You know what I mean?
gullible. That was the word, gullible. So we end up going into get our weapons, and then they take us to go have like our last meal. And I think we're getting like,
I don't like that last meal thing, eh? But last hot meal,
yeah,
it's so safe.
like this is literally this is what they did. They actually brought in pizza and all kinds of stuff for us, and I'm like,
It's almost like they're fattening you up for the
I'm
kill,
like, this
huh?
is awesome, guys, and they're like, Ralphie, don't you know what this is, bro?
Yeah,
We're going to war, dog.
We're going to war.
So we end up we go through these berms at like 02 in the morning, man. And my grandmother gave me a crucifix, and I tied it to the driver's steering wheel. And when you're a boot, you're a driver, right, for the Humvees. And I'm with a heavy cat team, and we have a 50 cal machine gun with a guy standing in the middle, a 240 Golf machine gun, Mark 19s. Those are grenade launcher type of things. And we're crossing into the berms, man. And mind you, it's like Star Wars. They're bombing, our jets are bombing the inside of Iraq. Boom, line up the whole sky. Now my heart is racing. Now this is real, right? And I just remember as we're driving up through these tall berms, man, these things were huge, like they had to be like 40 feet high. And the recon unit like blew out an area for us to drive through. So we were watching these little chem lights. I have my night vision goggles on, and I'm driving, and we have tanks. You hear all the tanks, everything. And we finally get across, they call it the line of departure. And we immediately start taking contact, and that's bullets. They're shooting at us, right? And I never felt that fear in my entire life. I couldn't even explain it to you. My throat, my chest, I couldn't even breathe. And I was just holding on to that crucifix, and I'm like, man, whatever's happening right now, it's like, God, please let it be quick. Please let it be quick. And I'm holding that crucifix. And we end up freaking taking out some tanks. The enemy's like demolished already because of air.
Yeah.
So we go into Iraq, and we're trying to get to Baghdad. That's like the big thing with us, right? But we're literally like 2 days in, and all of a sudden I see all these people waving their white flags. And I'm like talking to my platoon, my buddies, I'm like, bro, the war's over. And they're like,
far from it.
Ralphie, are you serious? That's POWs, bro. This is the freaking Republican Guard. So we end up going into Iraq.
And let me interrupt. Who is the ones that were supposed to be Saddam Hussein's main chingon?
Republican Guard.
Republican Guard?
Yeah, they were worthless. They look like a bunch of 10-year-olds.
But they promoted them as their true killers somewhat, or like their assassins. You know what I mean? Am I hearing it wrong or?
Yeah, that's how they're talkers, right?
Yeah.
They're talkers, and they were the weakest guys I've ever seen. They would shoot, run, and then when you find them, oh, please, mister, please. But anyhow, that war was the easy war.
Yeah.
You know, I went through that war and learned a lot.
We still lost some people, though.
Yeah.
We still lost some Americans.
Mm-hmm. That was my first time seeing my one of our guys get killed, and it was First Sergeant Smith. He's actually former LAPD.
Wow.
Yeah, he was. They took contact. I think RPG went through their Amtrak, and yeah, he was the first casualty I seen. And mind you, that there's so much information, but that war happened, and I ended up going back to Camp Pendleton. I know something's different about me, but I'm not sure. I feel weird, but we're gonna go deploy 6 months later to Al Anbar Province, Al Ramadi, Iraq, and even as a corporal in the Marine Corps, they're like, yeah, this place is bad. You know, I'm like, yeah. Okay, we'll see when we get there. And we finally get there. Our first day in Ramadi, Iraq, it was hell on earth. We get there and we're doing a left seat, right seat. And I got this guy that's my, he's from the other platoon, the other company, the other unit, I'm sorry. And he's got to drive us through to show us where all the checkpoints are, what to watch out for. It's his last freaking day. He's made it 7 months. And he looks at me, man, and I never seen fear like this. He's like, I'll tell you what, man, you better freaking shoot. You better shoot. He's like, you're going to take contact on ice cream, you better freaking shoot. I'm the machine gunner with a 240 Golf machine gun. And immediately, man, all of a sudden I hear, boom, bombs are going off, RPGs, machine gun fire. And I swear to you, man, if I had tunnel vision for a second, because you can't tell where it's coming from, and your eyes like go, ooh, and it's fear, it's adrenaline, it's all that stuff. And he's like, shoot, shoot. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like looking for the enemy.
Yeah.
And I finally, man, take a breath. And I let off that trigger, man. And for the next 7 months, we are fighting block to block to block that whole time. And that's where my trauma with losing 16 of our guys, my driver who was 19 years old, was killed right in front of me, man, in front of a lot of us. And yeah, it was tough, man. It was super tough.
And you know, again, people, it's like I tell you, we don't have to agree with our government, but look at what our soldiers sacrifice for us, to criticize our government, to have freedom of speech, to say, hey, I don't agree with the government. You know, and some of these, tell me if I'm wrong, Ralphie, if some of these third world countries, if you even speak against the government, they'll kill you on the spot.
Kill you on the spot.
But in the United States, we have the pleasure, or call it stupidity, that's what I'm calling it, to sit there and belittle the government, belittle even some of our military, when it's our military people that, it's because of guys like you. It's because of guys in the military that sacrifice their life that gives me the right to stroll down the street like a tough guy. When you know what, hey, you know, again, thank you so much for your service, man. And that's what Memorial Day is all about, guys, is honoring our service people. What Ralph went through, I can't even imagine. You know, in my stupid gangbang days, I've been in a few shootings, and it was all good for the couple, 2-3 bullets, and the cops would save our butt. There was no cops there to say, okay, stop. You know, they're the bad guys. You're fighting 7 months, bro. I can't even imagine, bro.
I think that time is very, very important for a lot of the veterans to know, is we've experienced significant trauma, and I'm a therapist for combat vets. Been doing
Thank you for getting to that too. So
for 15 years.
We could talk about war all day long, but now, Ralphie, what are you doing again, real quick,
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. So I decided after coming home and going through my own alcohol, suicidal stuff that I was dealing with, I was like, man, I'm going to go back to school. I dropped out of college 4 times. Little did I know I got a traumatic brain injury. The 5th time, I already have kids at the time. I'm trying school again, and my wife's like, you're either going to keep making excuses or you're going to do something about it.
Amen for the wife, huh?
Yes, and I ended up getting a recorder and just doing my very best. I got the highest GPA I've ever got,
Amen.
2.8. I got a 2.8.
2.8,
I got a 2.8. I was like, well, let me see if I can get into USC, because that was my dream school. I got into USC by them saying, we normally don't do this. They gave me a shot. I got kicked out my first year for academics. I like to try hard, you know.
That's right, that's
it's
right.
the second time around.
Second
I end
time.
up going back to USC. I get my master's degree. And I'm learning about resilience. And now I'm in a place where I don't make excuses. I say what I'm going to say and I do it, because your word means everything.
Yes, I tell my kids that as well.
And so I get my master's. I've been a therapist for combat veterans. I am treating the very thing.
Tell our fans that any combat veteran that wants to talk to you.
So I've been I work at a vet center, and we have them all over the country. And the vet center is a place that will provide counseling to you and your families, all free, all confidential. And I've been doing this for 15 years. And it's not like where the VA, like you're gonna have like an hour session and not see somebody for 6 months. I see guys on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and it's not always going to be trauma. You're going to talk about things that you're going through. Hey man, I had a fight with my wife. I'm dealing with this at work. I got laid off. Well, not only are we going to help you with that, we're going to help you with resources. We're going to get you whatever you need. And these are a lot of the vet centers are veterans counseling other veterans. And if you're not going to do it for yourself and you're going through stuff, do it for your family. Do it for your family, because they need you.
And you'll see guys on the bottom of the screen how to contact Ralphie. We're going to get to his boxing gloves. But on a personal note, my son Raymond, 2 tours in Iraq infantry, 82nd Airborne. You know, I tell him, Mijo, if you can't talk to me about your issues, talk to somebody. And Ralphie has reached out to him. And
Yeah.
You know what, Mijo, I'm telling you again, I love you, man. You're my everything. But he's just a phone call away, Mijo, you know. And he's a LAPD now, 17 years. But
Yes, he is. Yes,
I
he
thank
is.
you from the bottom of my heart about that, you know.
Absolutely.
But let me ask you some personal questions. If I'm out of line, please tell me.
You're out of line. No, I'm just kidding.
Why do veterans want to take their life? Well, what is it you think is because even my son had a friend just, I think last year, take his life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bunch of different things. It's what they might have done in the war, what they might have seen in the war.
There's a lot, bro.
It could be many things, right?
There's a lot there. It starts from childhood. But let me tell you this, like the medication that these guys are being provided, some of the medications, the doc is going to be like, hey, take this. Let's say they take it for a month and they get off it, and cold turkey, like they just like, I don't want to take it anymore. It's not working. What happens is all of that trauma, all of the suicidal thoughts comes back 100-fold.
I was just going to say prior.
And they don't know how to deal with it. I've had to deal with that. I almost committed suicide because I was withdrawing from a medication. Literally almost hung myself from my kid's swing set. Out of nowhere. I didn't even know. I was so numb. But you got to take care of yourself. You can't be cutting off cold turkey on medication. When it comes to suicide, there's guilt. There's survivor's guilt. And that one right there, guys, I'll tell you this. If you would have known by sending your guy to the left, to the right, if you would have made decisions based on what actually happened, you probably would have never made that decision. You would have said, I'm going to put my life in front of that person. And we carry this guilt. It's not for you. It's not for you to carry. You got to continue to move forward for your family. You're here for a reason.
That's right.
And you got to forgive yourself. And that's why with me and God, bro, if it wasn't for God, my wife, my kids, my family, I wouldn't be here today. Because if I didn't have that strength from God, if I didn't have that knowing that all things work together for good for those that love God.
Amen.
And man, I'll tell you this, your best days are in front of you, not behind you. And I'm
right.
talking to my vets, man. Like, don't quit. You know, I started this brand called Pasos. It's a boxing brand promoting mental health.
Jumping ahead now, bro.
Sorry, I just...
But since you're on it, so now, Ralphie, besides helping you vets, who I'm telling you, I personally appreciate you, and I know many of the Americans appreciate you. But now, Ralphie, you have this brand Pasos. You'll see the gloves, because we're on split screen. You'll see his gloves. He's got great gloves, guy. Best way to thank our veterans, get some gloves from him. They're sanctioned by the state, so they could be used in the professional ring. But tell us a little bit about your brand here, Pasos.
Thank you.
Now, mind you, there's a podcast, Pasos. Have you seen it? Yeah,
No.
There's a podcast, Pasos. But it's different, and he's cool people too. But this is a boxing glove apparel.
Yeah.
But you'll see his colors, you'll see his, and you know what I dig about it? They have the Marine Corps emblem on them.
I love it.
On a funny note, my son, Ray Corona, again, 82nd Airborne Infantry, his partner, Mendoza, was a Marine Corps. And they were partners, and they just, all night, just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they had a bond, bro, that you couldn't break.
I love it.
They loved each other, but it was nonstop, just heckling each other.
That's how we are, man.
Yeah.
That's how we are. Army stands for aren't ready to be Marines yet. You know that.
Say that again. I tell my son that, buddy.
Aren't ready to be Marines yet. That's all right, though. But thank you for your service.
And Raymond will say, has his saying for that.
Yeah, crayons.
That's right. That's right. So you have Pasos on.
Yeah.
How can we get your gloves?
So we're at PasosFightApparel.com, and you can follow us on Pasos Inc. on every social media, from Twitter to Facebook to Instagram. Pasos came out of heartbreak, you know, my own stuff, and I started hitting the bag again. I started sparring again, and I realized, man, like, I need to fight back all the stuff that I've been through, and it's better than drinking. It's better than freaking doing other stupid stuff. And so I started a fight brand. It was out of nowhere, man. Pasos is trademarked, and the way I branded it is we throw Pasos at PTSD, anxiety, depression, and whatever would hold you back from being the best version of yourself. You guys know I've shared that we lost 16 of our brothers. So every glove has 16 stars around it. So when you're wearing them, you're fighting for something bigger than yourself. And whenever you see a flag in reverse like this, like our shirts, it means run towards your fear. Because if you're running, if you think about your flag and you're running towards the enemy, the flag's going that way. So we run towards what we're scared of.
I never noticed that, man. Amen.
And that's what this whole brand's about. And you don't have the luxury to give up. At the bottom part of our slogan is fight to the end.
That's right.
Don't stop. Don't quit. There's so much more ahead of them, you know?
Amen. So if you want these gloves, guys, again, his information's on the bottom. You'll be supporting our military. As far as I'm concerned, you'll be supporting our veterans. And again, this is why I dropped this on Memorial Day to honor you, to honor our war veterans. So before we get off, Ralphie, I always ask my guests, if you went out for a meal today with the wife, let's just say you went out for a meal with the wife, where would you go? What kind of food are you?
Man, today, I'm gonna say this. We love sushi, bro.
Sushi, there you go.
Yeah, sushi. A little sushi don't hurt nobody.
That's right. And now that I know you're a musician, on your leisure time, what kind of music do you like listening to?
So I've been listening to like banda music, which is crazy because I never usually listen to that.
A lot of trumpets in banda.
Right.
A lot of trumpet.
But I love oldies, bro. I've always been an oldie guy. Always.
Now that I know you play the trumpet, I got to hear you do some. You're Still a Young Man by Tower.
Yeah.
Man, you could probably reach that. And I love Chicago with all the
funny
trumpet.
that you said that, because that's one of my favorite songs to play on my trumpet.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's good.
I love trumpets. Chicago. They have a lot of trumpet.
Yeah.
So, what other sports do you watch?
So, boxing is one of our biggest. Jiu-jitsu. All my kids are in jiu-jitsu. I have my 17. He's going to be 18. I got my 12-year-old daughter. 10-year-old.
She just won recently, no?
Yeah, my Gracie just won gold for jiu-jitsu.
Good, hey, good job, Mia. Good job.
And so Grace, Uriah, and Zach, and they're all doing jiu-jitsu. And she's an amazing kid as well. But my wife Jody, she's the reason why all this is happening.
Well,
so
here's my next question. You better answer it right to get some points. Who's your best friend? Eh?
my wife's name is
Amen.
Jody Sarabia.
There you go.
Don't ask me our anniversary date. No, she's amazing, bro. Like best mama on the planet.
There you
and
go.
if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here either. So.
Props to you, girl. Props to you. So hey, Ralphie, I thank you for coming on, bro. And you know, we'll do this in a year or so to see where your company's going. Let's do it. Let's make a schedule for next Memorial Day. Yeah?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
But I want to thank you for coming on, guys. And again, his information's on the bottom. So I want you to just subscribe, tell your friends, share it, and subscribe to Third Man in the Ring or Ref Pop by Ray. So I want to thank you again, Ralphie.
Thank you, man.
Say bye to our fans.
All right. Hey, follow this guy. He is such a good man. And I can't tell you how much he's done for me and for what he's doing for the boxing world and everybody that's just trusting in God and what God's doing for all of us. So follow.
God bless, guys.
All right.